All right. We are getting started with From the Margins with Jimmy Alphont and David Washington. How are you, Jimmy?
I'm doing fine.
Excellent.
Fabulous.
Excellent. Here we are, another day of recording, and oh man, there's a lot going on in this world as usual.
Hey, who said that politics was boring?
I heard that, sir. So, one thing before we get started, one thing I do want to say, it seems like, as you said about politics, this weekend seems to be a really important weekend because it appears that almost every candidate is having some type of event this weekend. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because it's about 45 days left before the election, but people are having meet and greets or they're having fundraisers or whatever. But I guess 45 days out, this is a pivotal weekend.
Well, it's really not 45 days out. When do the vote by mail ballots go out?
Well, the vote by mail ballots for overseas go out tomorrow. Well, yeah, tomorrow, this weekend. And then shortly after that, next week, the vote by mails domestically go out here in Florida.
Well, people can vote next week. So to have a mini greet before that, I understand the strategy. I had to say, I do. The same thing. When does early voting start? In about 2 weeks. So, yeah. I love when people say there's 45 days left to vote. Not really. A lot of people vote by mail, and a lot of people vote early voting. So, as a matter of fact, the people who vote in November are the minimum, if we really want. So, yeah, right. you leaving it for November might be a little bit too late.
That's a good point. And, this is a good segue to one of our topics today, the election cycle final days. Vote by mail, as I always said, as you just intimated, vote by mail and early voting, that's where, our elections are won. And if you're not dominating, if you don't have a strong strategy for vote by mail and early voting, but particularly vote by mail, then you've already got a strike against you.
And it's a big strike because basically you and I have worked this. We know that what we call the down ballot many times is left in blank. Why? Because those candidates don't really work it. They do things that they think is going to work, which doesn't. If I was anybody running, I would start Monday, knocking on doors, calling. If you don't have the people, sending out mail, sending out emails, sending out texts, whatever you could do to get that person that has an early vote ballot in his house and has a 90% of voting, get on them and work them. And once the supervisor elections tells you that they received David Washington's ballot, take him off the list and work the next person. The thing is, this is the time because these people, you know who they are.
Yes.
Early voting, you never know which day, even if you know who votes early, normally which day of the week they're going to go out to vote. Some people leave it for the last moment. Some people vote at the first day. So you never know. So it's a good idea to do it, especially when you take, like, for example, if you work in District 5, where we live, you have 45 precincts. Okay, well, that's election day. And that early voting, you might have 6 places that you want to work. So if you're the candidate, you go from place to place all day within the district, but you have people there for the 12 days with their signs, with the things, with the everything, and making sure that those people know about it and that they go down ballot. Election day is it's a little bit more difficult because then you're going to have 45 people and those people there, and the chances of the candidate hitting all 45 or 50 precincts is virtually impossible. So the ones that you need to concentrate is vote by mail and early voting.
Right.
The election day, have volunteers there and hope that they stay the 12 hours. I mean that seriously.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I've experienced that here in Florida and also in Chicago. And to take your point even further in regards to vote by mail, the overseas ballots, the out of state ballots, again go out before the domestic vote by mail ballots go out. I see that as the low hanging fruit. And with my candidates, I tried to tell them and get across to them very early, have a nice short letter, handwritten letter that you can copy or whatever, or even a typed letter, but you hand sign each letter. And those letters are going to go to those folks who are overseas or out of state and will receive a vote by mail ballot. And so when that opportunity comes, or just before overseas vote by mail ballots go out, you have already or will soon send out that letter to that serviceman, who is in Kuwait or in, Iraq or Afghanistan or whatever, that they'll receive a nice personal letter, just before, just at the same time as they receive their ballot, and seek their support early. And I call it the low hanging fruit. And you never know. Every vote counts, as we learned in the District One race in August. Although the election was pushed to the general election, Commissioner Wilson led Anderson, Austin Arthur, or Arthur Austin. Oh my goodness, I'm getting his name mixed up. It's a long day. By 2 votes. So every vote matters, and making every attempt, especially the low hanging fruit of the overseas voters, making an attempt is worth it. Every little bit is worth it.
Yeah, and remember, this is a presidential year. Maybe
Hmm.
somebody's going to walk into early voting, and all they care about is voting for one candidate or the other. You might want to approach them and say, "Hey, go down." But as a matter of fact, go down. There's a boundaries thing there that we need to vote on. So it is a matter of trying to get votes. You'd be surprised how many people, when I used to help campaigns, oh, oh, thank you. I didn't have an idea how to vote in this race. Well, now you do.
Exactly, exactly. So much is at stake, of course, because it is the general election. So everything stops after November, and you have a larger voter pool to persuade, and so that's even more pressure on a campaign to reach their targeted voters in a way that's efficient and also less expensive. And good campaigns have this figured out. They're planned for it. They're on top of this, and they should know. As I tell my candidates, by the Saturday before election day, if we follow the strategy and the numbers are where they should be, you pretty much have a great idea that you've either won the contest or lost the contest. So,
Okay,
still
yeah.
with me, Jimmy? Oh, we still
Oh,
got your phone.
I'm here. Don't worry.
Okay. So, you know, these waning days of the election cycle, you see a lot of running around at the last minute, a lot of phone calls. Can you do this? Can you do that? I need volunteers for that. I need people to knock on doors. I need people to make phone calls, and without fail, it happens. It happens every cycle.
It does, and it shouldn't, because you should have a plan of action of what you're going to do. And I'm
Mhm.
not sure how effective, and this a last minute call to somebody and say, hey, I'm not sure if you could have voted early. I'm not sure if you could have voted on election day. But by the way, can you vote? I mean, one of the things I never forget was in a campaign that they were calling people 2 days before the election, and half the people they were calling told them, I already voted.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
Oh, yeah. So that's why when you say, why are they doing this weekend? If you're doing your homework, you might want to make sure that everybody who gets a vote by mail next week as your contact and everything else. And I remember one thing that I did with a candidate many years ago. She
Sure.
had 12 people in the military. 12. That was it. Yes,
Ah,
she did 12 nice notes, but what we did is we had one note go out the day before the ballots went out, another note go out the day all the ballots went out, and a note go out a week after that, which was we were expecting them to receive it, so they would all receive it more or less at the same time. With 12 people, for Pete's sake, it's like what? Why are you so concerned? You prepare them in half an hour, and you have them there, and it's just a matter of mailing in different days. And it's you know the same thing if you have people's emails or
yeah.
any reason, email them. There's a program that you could say, email David tomorrow at 2 o'clock, email David next week at 3 o'clock, and the emails just automatically go out. It is a matter of trying to contact people way before, but leaving trying for the last moment to do anything is a sure recipe for failure.
I agree, Jamie. And it, again, it's heartbreaking to see so much effort lead up to a failure in the system that could cost a candidate, a campaign, a victory. And a good campaign will lay out the landscape for the whole campaign, lay out the landscape and try to anticipate some things that could go, south, that could go wrong. And it's not that difficult, especially if you're working with people who have experience in campaigns and you have confidence in that larger strategy. This particular cycle here in Central Florida, Jimmy, I just don't see the enthusiasm from either side, whether it's the campaigns or even the public. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the low turnout that we had for the primary. So
Well,
I don't
and we
know.
had a low turnout because the candidates didn't do much. And I'm
Yeah.
going to say this: they didn't do much to get out their votes. Those who worked. Now, let me give you an example. Uh, in District 5, the two that did some work are in the finals. The other two, I'm not sure what they did because I didn't see anything, to be blunt. So, other than hope and knock on some doors and have some yard signs out, I can't say that they did much. So the question is, yes, those who put in got out. and, and the strategy of in District 1 with the write-in was great because the write-in
Yes.
did make the difference. So that strategy from that. The other thing is money. Uh,
Yeah.
Money helps. If you don't have money, let's stop pretending that you can win. Yeah, you could be outraised 10-1 and still win. Yes, but then you're gonna have to work you know what of.
That's
So
true.
you
That's true.
know,
You're going to have to compensate somewhere else in your campaign for the lack of money. And is it harder? Yeah, it's going to be harder. Like you said, you're going to have to work your tail off. However, you don't campaign. You don't run for office and think that doing it half-ass is going to get you the desired results. Unless your desired results are to promote your name or your brand or your business or whatever. But yeah, you got to put in the work. And again, effective campaigns will have put in the work across the board: fundraising, field organization, communications, messaging, um, all of the above. And that shows good leadership, and it also shows that you're prepared to take on that elected leadership role. because you never actually stop campaigning. Once you're elected, you keep going, you keep going. You're moving your brand. You're marketing your elected office as a state rep, state senator, county commissioner, mayor, whatever. You're still, you know, interacting with the public, and if you're got it in the back of your mind that you're going to run again, you're going to be out there pushing your brand, and you just have to prepare for that.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. I heard millions of dollars being put into the Orange County Commissioner race, District Ones, 3, and 5, and you have heard the same rumors. And I
Correct,
say
sir.
rumors because I haven't seen a check cut. So I'm not going to come here and say, hey, yeah, it's a fact because I don't know. But when I think I start spending that money, because I haven't seen any strong spending in 1, 3, and 5.
Jimmy, you're right. And again, like you said, we live in District 5 here in Orange County, and I haven't seen it. And we're 45 odd days out from the election. Again, if there's millions being poured into this campaign, into District 1 or District 3, my sources are telling me it's just not happening. And whether across the political spectrum, my folks are not seeing it. And if if I understand those interests that are spending this type of money, if I understand their methods, um, they're waiting until the last minute to send out mailers and emails and text messages, and of course relying on old social media like Facebook to spread the word. And you can't just do that. It's ineffective, a waste of money, and a couple of consultants are getting paid big time because of the money that's being wasted in this late term effort.
Yeah, and to be quite honest, the problem that we're facing, and I find it interesting because nobody says this, is that there is no signs of them doing anything. I'll be honest. Next Monday goes out vote by mail. I have
Mhm.
not seen them spending any money on vote by mail. And if they're going to keep sending me cards, showing me that they have a family and kids and that they live in a nice neighborhood, I'll be blunt with you. I would just take it upon myself to just not uh, vote for them. That's the
Yeah,
problem that I'm seeing. They're still trying to use the old ways like those old ways that work.
that's right.
And
That
they
is
don't.
correct.
They don't.
They
Uh,
do.
the thing that I'm more concerned about is that in the last cycle, 4 years ago, not now, but 4 years ago, we had the problem that people would tell me, oh, Mr. O'Farn, we have the expectation that some scandal is going to break out. Well, yes, this time around, one broke out. I mean, but if we take just before the Nicole and Betsy's race in 2020, the scandals kept on coming, and the Sentinel kept on publishing. Yes, I'm not seeing that in 1, 3, or 5 at this point. It's really silent, completely silent. So, if we're counting on that to be a factor, maybe it will explode next week, and we could comment in the next podcast. But as of today, I see nothing. I see more movement on the national level
Yeah.
than I see in the local level, which normally is kind of interesting because we have 3 commissioners coming up. We have we have we had some of the constitutional officers. We don't. We still have state house races and state senate races that basically I've seen really no great movement. Like, oh well, this could win the election or lose the election. I've seen nothing. I mean, not even signs on the streets.
Yeah,
So
I
it's like,
know.
so you're going to try a new way. Well, good luck to you because it's not working up to now. And the thing is that I keep hearing the media. We're 45 days away from the election. No, you're not. You have a 12 to 14% of the people who are going to vote by mail, if it's not higher this time around. You're going to have
Yeah.
another 20% of the people going to vote early voting. That's close to 50%. With all due respect, if you're going to campaign for the week before, not even the week before the election, because early voting ends on Sunday and Tuesday's the election. So there's really one day that there's no voting, which is that Monday. Other than that, there's voting. So uh, it never ceases to amaze me how the local people here do not understand that, and how candidates here uh, don't know how to campaign.
Again, as consultants, it boggles my mind that you do the same thing over and over again as campaigns, as a consultant, and you expect a different result. It just boggles my mind that we see this cycle after cycle after cycle. And again, someone's going to benefit from this, and it's the usual consultants who know how to manipulate candidates in their campaigns, and sell them on a method that they enjoy using, but not necessarily be the most effective strategy for a particular campaign. Eh, go figure.
Go figure.
Yep.
Right now, I have a campaign in my district that all they have done is send me cards and flyers. That
Yeah.
not called, not knock, or anything like that. So that might have worked in the '60s, but right now, 90% of those cards, we all know where they end up.
Exactly, exactly. And you're the second person who's mentioned this. The old-fashioned way, the old way of doing things, and there's a better mousetrap. It's just a willingness to be open to using that
Yeah,
better mousetrap. So this is a good segue into our next topic here. The local political parties, they play an important role in local campaigns. They feed, you know, potential candidates into their systems and to their preferred consultants to manage their campaigns, and they get themselves deeply involved in campaigns, in some campaigns. Um, what so far, it looks like the Republicans are doing what Republicans do, some infighting, and then the Democrats. The one difference this cycle is that the Democrats are actually raising some money locally. What are your thoughts?
they're raising money. They have money. They've had a good fundraising year. What I'm not sure exactly is how they're spending it, and that's the only concern I have. Money can be wasted, or money can be spent wisely. I am not sure which campaigns are helping because let's talk. There's the only races they have is three county commissioners and one school board member. I can't think of any other race because the House and the Senate are run by House Victory, and basically those candidates run their own campaigns, and House Victory provides them with campaign managers and funding and stuff like that. The state party, I'm not sure what they do. I'm still trying to question myself, but can't think of anything because I'm not sure if they even are assisting Debbie in her Senate race, which is the only statewide race that we have at this point. But I can't say what is Orange County, for that matter, Seminole County, what is Osceola County doing for the local candidates that are running, because to be quite honest, I can't see. I live in District 5, and I can't say that I've received anything from the Orange County Democratic Party. I can't. I'll call, and that I'll say without a hesitation. I can't say that I've seen anything. If they're going to try to do phone banks with their volunteers, that's fine. But then again, they're not using the money for that. So
Right.
what are they using their money on is a good question. Are they going to send cards to everybody that is a Democrat saying that Kelly is a Democrat and that Steve is a Republican, that Austin is a Republican, Nicole is a Democrat, and what they're going to do in District 3 that both are Democrats? Uh, you know, under their policy, they have to stay out of District 3. So let's get this. Under their policy and regulations, they must stay out of District 3. They cannot get involved. There's two
That's
Democrats.
true.
So that leaves them with really two races, 1 and 5. My concern is, other than phone banking, what have they been doing with all these thousands of dollars? And by the way, uh, they're right now very concentrated in the annexation of East Orange by the city of Orlando. That I have to give them credit. They're fighting that. I am not sure how effective they're going to be, but right now uh, they are working that. So we'll find out very soon how that's going to go.
I think with in regards to the rural boundary issue, for the Democrats to be successful with that, they have to communicate to voters. The SIMRAC campaign has to communicate to voters why this is important. Why should it matter? Because I remember knocking on doors east of the Econ, where the rural boundary issue is mostly relevant, and talking with voters and explaining the rural boundary. And some of the voters were like, okay, it already, if it's a matter of traffic, it already takes them, 1 hour to get to a location that should typically take them 30, 45 minutes to get to. Um, some of the answers or some of the remarks were like, it's all of Orange County that has traffic issues. If you want to apply the rural boundary issue, perhaps it's better to open up the so-called rural boundary, allow more development, so that things are not as crowded. And we know logically that doesn't happen that way. But explaining the importance of why the rural boundary is important to voters, I think is the first step. And I just don't, I just didn't see that. I don't see that um, going on with the larger electorate.
Well, if the Orange County Democratic Party decides to unite with the environmentalists and spend some money on it, they could get it. I mean, let's stop pretending. The last time that these matters came to a ballot, they left with 86% of the vote. But that was campaigning. That was spending money on it. That
Yes.
was going around. That I've said this. All you have to do for early voting, Orange County Democrats, is go and hire people at the sites and say, if the environment is important for you, please talk to me before you walk in to vote. And when they come, what is important? Vote yes for the boundaries because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If you let the city of Orlando annex everything, and their corruption is going to be that they're going to build, but they're not going to build roads because that is the thing that the city of Orlando has always had a problem with. And if anything, they're going to overpopulate, and the quality of the air that you're going to be breathing and your kids are going to be breathing is going to go down significantly. That, do that should be effective in all forms and in every matter, but it's not going to work any other way. It's really something that I have said this for years to people.
Yeah.
You have to understand that the environment is something that if you know how to sell it, look, Split Oak went over, Clean Water went over, everything went over by a super majority. Right now, the only campaigns that you really know is really 3 and 4, the amendments, and right next to that will be the boundaries. And yes, we know that people are going to vote for marijuana, and yes, we know that people are going to vote on the abortion issue, one way or the other, but they're going to vote for it. And the thing is, okay, just take a step further and vote for clean air. And how you sell to the people is going to be extremely important.
Do you think that there was too much emphasis on the constitutional amendments in a way that will overshadow the charter amendments and the down ballot races? Are the local parties doing enough to highlight everything across the ballot, up and down
Well,
the ballot?
let's get this. The boundaries is only in Orange County, so Southern
Correct.
and Osceola are not going to work it because they don't have to. I mean, that's not operating. Uh, is Orange County DC going to use its money for the boundaries? That's a good question. That's
Mhm.
something that we might want to approach Sammy and ask him, hey, Sammy, are you going to be doing this? Because realistically, that's where I feel they should be spending money. Look, the other three races, Nicole has control of her race to a certain degree. So does Kelly, and so does the person who's going to be in the school board. Those races are very
Yeah.
local and very, so yes, the one thing that the party should be concerned about is the down ballots about, hey, we want this boundary thing to pass. Hey, we are the party of the environmentalists. The other party is the party of destroying the environment. So basically, yes, that is where they should be concerned. If they're going to do it, is a good question.
Two things. First, with Samuel, he will be he's slated to appear at County Watch, their membership meeting on the 5th of October, the first Saturday of the month, at the local Denny's on Cimarron in Lake Underhill. And he'll be discussing with his Republican counterpart, Aaron Huntley, the constitutional amendments. I believe there's six of them, and then the eight or so charter amendments. So there'll be a great opportunity for people to come out and see the local political leadership. And then also, in regards to the local parties, oh, I almost I lost my train of thought. In regards to the local parties, at one point, the Democrats had a robust membership just after the 2016 election, after Hillary Clinton's loss to Donald Trump. Um, about 300 new Democrats, showed up for the first meeting in the new year after that 2016 election. Um, did we lose? Well, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll ask you anyhow, Jimmy. Did we lose that momentum, that opportunity to capitalize on that newfound interest in the local party, and also that opportunity to fundraise and make um, things, sustainable for Democrats?
The answer to that question is yes. We lost the opportunity. The reason is because I don't think the party was prepared how to adapt with so many people coming in, how to get these people involved, how to create committees, how to put them to work. The people would show up and the leadership would tell them what they were doing, but never really effectively knew how to recruit them. Plus, some of them even saw them as a threat because, as we know, you get elected by having your friends go this December and voting for you, and
Yeah.
then leaving the party in March and never coming back. So they were concerned about that. Plus, then you had the phenomena that I always considered interesting, which was basically they kept, in my opinion, the Zoom meetings going too long.
Yes.
Okay, way too long, and
They still they
basically
still do. They still have them.
And that's where I'm like, no, people, you're wrong. There's no Zoom meetings are not good for participation. They're
Yeah,
good for information. They're great for that. But when you have 75 people trying to participate at the same time, no. So I would
yeah,
have to say it is not a good thing. So no,
right.
they just it went above their head. They did not have the capacity to say, wait a minute, let's take uh, about this opportunity. And realistically, in fairness to everybody, it had never happened. And it was more of a people angry and scared as to what a president of Donald Trump would look like. Once they
Right.
realized that he was a moron that couldn't govern, and they said, okay, well, it's not going to be that bad. He's just a moron. Uh, uh, and it stopped because we have to admit that it was 2020 campaign to people to really get them to vote was a struggle. Which, if things were really as bad as they were, that it shouldn't have been a struggle, but it was. We should have
Indeed.
won by much more.
Indeed. In closing this part of our conversation, I remember when I ran for state committeeman against Ricky Lee, and I was very blunt with the 2 minutes that I had, and I was reminded just last week about what I said. And I remember I said in 2016, we got our asses handed to us as Democrats. And we needed a paradigm change. We needed to start thinking differently. But, the party, like you said, you bring in your friends and they become Democrats for a fleeting moment, and they vote for their friends, and there's no accountability. Those people leave, and you've got the same core group of people doing the same thing, meeting and meeting and meeting upon meetings. And unfortunately, the lack of accountability has been the albatross around the necks of the local Dems.
That and the fact that the state party doesn't help them at all. If anything, tries to get money from them.
Yeah, yeah, good point. Good point. Speaking of getting things from others, immigration.
Yeah,
Immigration, of course, has been a big issue. It's maybe number one, two, or three on people's minds as they talk national politics. And recently, last night, this is September 19th, Donald Trump was at a not a press conference, a rally, and he's like, I want to deport all 11, 12 million illegal migrants here in America. And that harkened back to some FDR Eisenhower days. But immigration is definitely a major issue this year, and rightly so. What are your thoughts?
you know, it depends how you present this. Either stream doesn't make much sense to me. There's no way you're going to be able to deport the 11 million, but you're going to make yourself sound good. And like Donald Trump, I don't have a plan how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to
Yeah,
build a wall. I never did, but I'm going to build this time around. Uh, Last time was build a wall, and Mexico's going to pay for it, and that never happened. Uh, Now we're talking about immigration. Now, here's the problem I have with it. It's not that it's not a problem. It's how we talk about it. Look, consultant to consultant, what was Donald Trump doing campaigning in the state of New York before the election, where there's no way, I'm going to say this, there's no way he's going to win New York. That's not happening. But he decided to go there and talk about the dogs, talk about the cats, talk about the geese that they're eating. And I'm like, okay, really, you want to go there? You know, look, immigration is a good issue for the Republicans. Let me tell you what a friend of mine, a Republican, told me, and I'm going to tell the whole world. The Senate came up with a version of a law that would really help bound the border. It would really help bound the border. And Donald Trump killed it with these words: if you pass that law, we have no arguments to win the next election. For years, the Republicans have been in control under Bush, under even Trump, and they were incapable of passing an immigration law. They were incapable of proposing a law. Now, today, the moron of Johnson proposed Safe America
Yes.
issue, saying that people who are not American cannot vote. Mr. Speaker, non-citizens don't vote in general elections. You have to be a U.S. citizen to register to vote in all 50 states and in the Commonwealth, which, by the way, don't vote for president, so nobody really cares about those. But
Right.
stop passing laws that are to create fear mongering. The issue of immigration is a problem, but when it's used as a fear monger, it's even worse. Look, have criminals come through? Maybe. Is there any proof that they have? No. Is there any proof that crime is up? No, really. As a matter of fact, according to the FBI, in every of the 50 states, crime is down.
That's correct.
It's a fact of life. But let's say that these people are committing crimes. Let's say that letting these people in, that some bad people could come in. Yeah, that's true. And then let me put it this way. And answer what you say that bad people could come in. In the year 1998, 22 people came into this country legally from Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
planned an attack.
Yeah.
They all had driver's license.
Yeah.
They were all here legally. They all were receiving funds from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And they committed the most horrible act against our country. And you know what? People from Saudi Arabia still could come in, get passports, and do the same thing. So realistically, it's not those that are here illegal. You might want to check those that are illegal, because those could be a major problem. But using immigration as a fear mongering thing, when I become president, I'm going to deport all of them. It's a change. When I become president, we're going to build a wall, and Mexico's going to pay for it. Did that happen? No. Is he going to be able to deport people? No. Why? Because there is no records of where illegal immigrants live. Or maybe we would end up with the Chick Chang movie that I don't think most people remember, which was born in East LA, that they take Chung, and they deport him, even though he was born in the United States and his father was born in the United States. But because he looked Mexican, they just put him in a truck and they deported him.
Yes. I remember that.
And that may very well be happening, you know. And for Puerto Ricans who think, well, that can't happen, the new issue for the Republican Party is to give Puerto Rico independence. So get prepared for that one.
I believe in strong immigration laws. I believe that some solution must be made in regards to those who are here illegally. We know that immigrants have a lesser likelihood of committing crimes, particularly those who are here undocumented, because they want to stay under the radar, and they are contributors to our society. They pay taxes, et cetera, et cetera. What we're seeing out of Colorado and also in Ohio, those could be outliers. However, we need to have a significant plan, and the President Biden's recent executive order is a good start. The immigration bill that Biden said he would sign, but was, I guess, usurped by the let's see, by the Republicans, by Donald J. Trump.
By the owner of the Republican Party, Donald J. Trump. Yeah.
That's right. He is. He owns the Republican Party, and he showed that he was stronger than the president in thwarting the immigration bill that Senator Langford crafted with Vice President Harris and other members of Congress. It was a bipartisan bill, and Donald Trump was successful in having it scrapped. It showed, of course, his selfishness. He wants to win. It also shows how powerful he is. Is he the most powerful man on the planet and not President Biden? Who knows? However, there are some solutions there. Can our politicians get to those solutions without looking at that partisan gain?
It's not only the partisan game. Let me tell you something that a lot of people do not know. I'm going to give you Florida history.
Okay.
Joey, there's what T.G. Lee is. There's what half of the oranges that we consume are. And it's a purely agricultural place. In 2004, I'm hired to go down there as a criminal defense attorney because these people have been arrested for a fight. Apparently, a fight broke out in one of the Mexican camps, and a bunch of people were charged. I went down there, and the police was a little bit abusive, but all the charges were dropped. But I remember that at the same time, I was hired because there was a judge, county judge, that you would bring people with the charge of driving without a driver's license, which is a misdemeanor in the state. And he was had them arrested and have them kept in the county jail until such time as the immigration people came. And basically, they came and they deported them. The owners of T.G. Lee and the various farms around there went and talked to the county judge and said, "Hey, you're screwing with us. These are the people that are driving our trucks with milk, our trucks with fruit and stuff like that. You cannot do this because you're hurting our business. Plus, people won't come here to work because there's a reputation that there's a bad judge here, and that this bad judge is what you would call it, putting them, deporting them. So they're just leaving the area, and you're leaving without workers." The judge told them to go and suck an egg, and they said, "Okay." They raised some money, found a young lady, said, "You want to be a county judge?" She said, "Sure." They ran her campaign. Basically, they said to everybody that horrible things about him. Half of them weren't even true, but he lost the election. She came in, and all of a sudden, Mexican would come there and had a 12th offense of driving without a license. She would give them a $10 fine and go home. And the Mexicans start coming back, and the farmers were very happy because now they had people getting their oranges, milking their cows, picking up everything. So it's immigration. It depends which color you want to look at it. Because basically, if you tell people that you want to start deporting all the Mexicans in Okeechobee County, Florida, you're going to have the fight not coming from the people that you expect, but from the owners of the farms, the people who control the farms. And Okeechobee is kind of interesting because there's a great American restaurant owned by Mexicans, and there's a great Mexican restaurant down there owned by Americans. So it's become a very accepting that they depend on each other. So
Yeah.
So immigration, it depends by the crystal that you look at it. I think the immigration issue is not so much jobs. You know what it really is? Color.
Mm.
Not that this country is racist, because you and I know there's no such a thing as racism in this country. But when people said, "Let's make America great again," which era do you want to go back to? Because I can tell you, when I was born in 49, the reason my name is James is because in the city of New York, you cannot give me the name of Santiago that my mother wanted to give me because it's not acceptable. You cannot do it legally. So basically, yeah, it all depends how you want to look at it. I remember in the 50s, still in this city, a person of color cannot buy in the east side of Orange County.
Right.
It was divided. So, do you want to go back to the 50s? I'm not sure if I do. I'm
No.
sure you don't. So
No.
when you
No.
tell me, let's make America great again. Are you talking? Let's go back to what period? Look, a lot of the people who don't want to admit it, this country has a racist problem. It always has and always
Sure.
will. So let's stop pretending. So I'm not sure if the immigration is. I don't want people who don't look like me. Well, okay, I understand that.
You know, we call ourselves a melting pot. I don't think about. I don't think it's actually a melting pot.
Oh no, no. Let me tell you the melting pot they're talking about: Germans, Italians, Irish, British, French, uh, even Polish. As long as they're white, we're good with that. We have no Canadians want to come here, no problem.
As I was saying on our flagship show, you can't make this shit up. Hey, I don't care what color you are. You know, I don't care what sex you are. I don't care about any of those things. What I do care about is my kitchen table issues and the money that I can earn from, our association or businesses or whatever. I got bills to pay. And so the color of your cash or your credit card, at the end of the day, is what matters to me.
Yeah, and I really don't care. But when people tell me, "Oh no, 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 immigration is your issue that the people look different from you," yeah, that I can understand.
Right,
Your
right.
issue, look, is your issue that people are going to take away my jobs? Not yours. I don't see somebody coming through the border who's going to become the biggest politician consultant without a green card. It's not happening. Let's stop pretending that. As a matter of fact, to this day, there's very few political consultants in the area that are Hispanic. Sorry, it's a fact of life.
Indeed, indeed. So, on that note, Jimmy, hey, this time went by very quickly today. I don't know what it is, but it's good discussion today. Again, very good discussion.
Thank you.
Do you have an idea of what you'd like to talk about next week?
Oh yes. Oh yes. I would like to talk about, if all possible, early voting, how it's working, what are the campaigns doing, but most important, I would like to talk about what are the plans that the Orange County Democratic Party has for the last 45 days. Because up to now, I've not seen any. What are the plans to get the boundaries people out to vote? Look, we know that people for abortion and for pot, they have their own people. They have the TV ads, and that's going to work or not work. So that's good. What are the local parties going to do? And finally, let's start talking about how true it is that there are such things as swing states, and Florida is not one of them.
And we can also throw in, a little conversation about those so-called undecideds at this point in the election cycle.
That's a good topic too.
All right, I think we got some good topics for next week. I like that. I like that, and I think our audience will like that too.
I hope so.
Yes,
We're here to please.
indeed, indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
And so, for Jimmy Alphonse, I'm David Washington. I want to thank everyone who is part of our community and our listeners and our viewers. We really appreciate it if you spread the word. Let all your friends, family, those influencers and candidates and electeds that you know who would enjoy or benefit from this type of conversation, this type of content. We really, really would appreciate it. And of course, I love the comments. And I would love to hear and see what you have to say. Again, bring your facts, because that's what we do. Bring your facts. Let's set aside our feelings. Let's be tactful and respectful, and have a genuine conversation about politics. So, again, for Jimmy Alphonse, I'm David Washington. This is From the Margins. We'll see you the next time. Thanks, Jimmy.